George Russell finally has his big move to Mercedes in 2022, but the Formula 1 driver market still has a twist or two in store. Alex Albon could be at the heart of that, with a potential move to Williams as Russell's replacement at risk amid the latest round of arguing between Mercedes and Red Bull. Their role in this situation, when the only seats available are at Williams and Alfa Romeo, speaks to the odd way this F1 silly season is concluding. News of Valtteri Bottas' move to Alfa Romeo in 2022 has been followed by official confirmation he will be replaced by Russell, which we will also cover in this video. But the more pressing matter is who will replace Russell at Williams now we know it's not Bottas, and who will be partnering Bottas at Alfa Romeo. And if Albon's not in F1 next year, is it going to be Mercedes' fault? Bottas' news kicked off the final round of 2022 lineup announcements, and now Alfa Romeo and Williams will be working to finalise their remaining seats as soon as possible. What we know for sure is that Red Bull is pushing for Albon to get one of those vacant seats, and Mercedes Formula E world champion Nyck de Vries is a contender as well, along with Alpine protégé Guan Yu Zhou. Albon is Red Bull's test and reserve driver this season after losing his seat at Red Bull Racing to Sergio Perez. He has dovetailed his Red Bull work with a DTM drive this season and recently admitted he is interested in exploring a possible move to IndyCar if there are no opportunities in Formula 1. Despite Red Bull boss Christian Horner claiming Albon deserves a seat in F1, there's no route for him back onto the grid with either Red Bull-owned team. So let's clarify the situations at Williams and Alfa Romeo. We're expecting Nicholas Latifi to be retained by Williams, which means one seat available as Russell is moving to Mercedes to replace Bottas, who's joining Alfa. If Alfa Romeo retains Antonio Giovinazzi as well, then that leaves no room at the Sauber-run team. There have been suggestions Giovinazzi could be dropped, while in Italy reports suggest his seat is safe. Ah, the F1 silly season. We're going to be honest and simply admit we don't know exactly how this situation is playing out. What we can say is that Albon, de Vries and Zhou have all been on the shortlist for both Williams and Alfa Romeo. The emergence of de Vries as a serious option is curious, even though he clinched the Formula E title for Mercedes last month. De Vries won the Formula 2 championship in 2019, but made slightly difficult work of it up against Latifi, and while clearly talented, has never had the sort of career momentum that marked him out as a must-have in Formula 1. There have been talks though, and it is possible Formula E's reigning champion will not return for the electric single-seater series next season. For what it's worth, Williams has admitted it has options beyond Albon and de Vries and claims it has no preference over a rookie or a driver with experience. Both Williams and Alfa Romeo have tried to preach patience throughout this process, but now each admits it will be resolved shortly. But Red Bull fears that Albon's prospects will be damaged by Mercedes. With Albon's candidacy being talked about more openly, Red Bull team boss Christian Horner has expressed his concern that title rival Mercedes will use its influence as Williams' engine supplier to block Albon's path. Horner says Williams is Albon's preference out of the two teams, but worries his driver will pay the penalty for the Mercedes-Red Bull rift. He even suggested Albon has had multiple calls from Mercedes personnel to dissuade him from going to Williams. That specific detail was odd, as is the fact Horner seems more concerned about what Mercedes' preference would mean for his driver than acknowledging Red Bull controls 4 seats in F1 and has chosen to put Albon in none of them. But anyway, Wolff said he would never block Albon's path intentionally. He did admit his preference is to help de Vries onto the grid, and with Mercedes having one of its own to assist, Albon's needs are unlikely to be high on Wolff's list of priorities. He's also admitted that the fact Williams is a Mercedes engine customer and Albon has been embedded in Red Bull Racing since 2019 is also an issue. So Red Bull would need to release Albon completely for Mercedes to be comfortable with him racing for Williams. Wolff said, "Albon is a driver that deserves a seat in Formula 1, but it's tricky to have a 100% Red Bull driver with a Mercedes power unit. So happy to work with him as long as they let him free from his Red Bull contract." Obviously, the important context here is that Red Bull is gearing up to build its own F1 engine. Next year, the newly established Red Bull Powertrains company will start to take over the running of Honda's F1 engines, and is building the first ever in-house Red Bull F1 engine for 2025. But what about those supposed calls from the Mercedes camp telling Albon not to join Williams? Wolff believes this has been misinterpreted and suggested it was a reference to Albon speaking to Mercedes' young driver program manager Gwen Le Gru. Legru was the man in charge of the Lotus Junior program that Albon spent 3 years with after being cut by Red Bull the first time around. Wolff said that Albon has been speaking with Legru and also Mercedes head of strategy James Vowles about the opportunities that might exist for both him and De Vries, but insists Albon was not told to do anything either way. So where does this leave Albon? Well, Horner said at the Belgian Grand Prix that Albon would be re-signed by Red Bull unless he has an opportunity to go racing. That indicates Red Bull is willing to end its formal link with the driver should he be able to race elsewhere, so maybe there is a compromise to be found after all. But Horner said after the Dutch Grand Prix that he found Wolff's demands slightly unusual and is clearly hopeful Albon could conclude a deal with Williams as a Red Bull-backed driver. If Albon or De Vries are not going to Williams, then Alfa Romeo is the only alternative, and while that is a Ferrari-powered team, it seems Ferrari doesn't have the same view as Mercedes. Ferrari boss Mattia Binotto has claimed that engine manufacturers should not seek to influence which drivers race for their customer teams, which might explain why both De Vries and Albon are also contenders at Alfa without the same circus around it as the Albon-Williams link has generated. But just to be sure, Wolff has stressed that De Vries has no formal link to the Mercedes F1 team, and while the Mercedes Formula E team would like to retain De Vries for its final season before withdrawing from the championship, Wolff says De Vries will be released if an F1 opportunity does arise. For a while now, we've been talking like Russell to Mercedes is a done deal when nothing has been confirmed. But now it has been confirmed, and the worst kept secret in F1 is a secret no longer. Russell has been heavily linked with a move to Mercedes for months, but recently it had become increasingly clear that he'd been picked ahead of Bottas. Wolff said during the Belgian Grand Prix weekend the team had made its decision and was waiting for the other driver's future to be settled before making any announcements. Russell and Bottas said at Spa there was no news to share, implying they knew but would not disclose the information. Then at the Dutch Grand Prix, Russell attempted to stick to that line before revealing he knew where he would be racing next season and also said he was told verbally before Spa. Another sign of something shifting behind the scenes was the fact Hamilton gave a ringing endorsement of Russell as a potential teammate, having previously stuck to complimenting the job Bottas has done. Previously, Hamilton has expressed his loyalty to Bottas and spoken fondly of the Finn, who he has described as a fantastic teammate. Hamilton even said of Mercedes' lineup earlier in the summer, "I don't necessarily see that it needs to change." Bottas joined Mercedes in 2017 and helped the team move away from a difficult internal atmosphere that had developed while Hamilton was partnered with Nico Rosberg. One of the risks of Mercedes picking Russell could be that the team returns to a more divisive dynamic, with Red Bull driver Max Verstappen even claiming that Russell would make things very difficult for Hamilton. But Hamilton said he expects a relationship with Russell would be good and lavished praise on the 23-year-old, describing him as part of the future of Formula One and expressing his confidence that Mercedes' internal harmony would not be disrupted. Hamilton also made it clear that being paired with Russell next year risks no repeat of the acrimony that came in the Rosberg years or Hamilton's rookie season alongside Fernando Alonso at McLaren. And now we have the official announcements from all involved, which prove every assumption we've been able to make over the last couple of weeks have been completely correct. The question now is whether Russell's impending Williams exit will bring his old friend Albon back into F1, or if Russell's new employer will get in the way. Let us know in the comments if you'd like to see Albon fill Russell's shoes at Williams, or if you'd like to see someone else get the nod instead. Hit the like button if you enjoyed our video, and make sure you're subscribed to our channel to join us again for more videos in the future.